First News, I'm David Blake.
I'm meteorologist Dave Nussbaum. The spring-like weather continues across the area.
Mr. Trump makes his pick. Judge Neil Gorsuch. I'm Stephen Portnoy.
Louisiana leads all others when it comes to paying state and local taxes. I'm Jim Hanso.
A major retailer looks to take on Amazon with free 2-day shipping and no subscription fees. I'm Chris Miller at Walmart.
It's National Signing Day. Who's headed to LSU? I'm Steve Geller.
WWL News Time, 8 o'clock. 58 degrees now and partly sunny in New Orleans on your official weather station, WWL, AMFM.com.
More of that nice and warm weather expected across the area today with high temperatures remaining in the mid-70s.
Channel 4 meteorologist Dave Nussbaum. Will this Supreme Court nominee ever get a chance?
CBS News Update. President Trump had barely finished naming his pick for the Supreme Court when protesters came out to register their disappointment. On Capitol Hill, Senator John Thune and other Republicans were quick to join the president in praising federal appeals judge Neil Gorsuch.
I think it's very tough to attack this judge's credentials. You look at his judicial experience, great temperament.
Signaling a bitter confirmation fight, Democrats like Richard Blumenthal questioned the judge's views on issues from the death penalty and consumer rights to gun rights and birth control.
I'm troubled by his stance on privacy rights, particularly women's health care.
Noted attorney David Boy sees pros and cons.
You have somebody who is a brilliant legal mind. On the other hand, he is not in what I believe to be the mainstream of judicial thought.
CBS News Update, I'm Frank Sedapanic.
And nominee Neil Gorsuch is heading to Capitol Hill today to begin meeting with lawmakers, including members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Well, the largest brick-and-mortar retailer is taking on the largest cyber retailer, and right on its home turf. WWL's Chris Miller reports on Walmart's subscription-free free shipping program.
Unlike Amazon's Prime with its $99 annual fee, Walmart charges nothing, so long as the shopper buys at least $35 worth of stuff. Retail analyst Wayne Regas believes Walmart feels it must offer something to counter Amazon's convenience and, in many cases, tax-free shopping. Regas says Amazon customers are typically higher income earners than Walmart's.
And then you fight it out between those two groups as to who gets what share.
Regas says Walmart can't handle the volume to make this system work, unlike a lot of other traditional retailers.
Gunfire last night in Algiers, and it happened just outside a basketball game at Carr High School. The victims apparently tried to get in, but were turned away. WWL TV's Katie Steiner tells us what happened.
They tried to get into the game after that game started, and then they weren't able to get in for some reason and headed back to the car. It was then that a silver four-door sedan drove up to the car, and a number of people got out of that sedan and shot at the two victims. One person died right there at the scene, and another died at the hospital. Now, we don't know much about those two victims, except for they were not Carr students, and we don't know their ages.
And the NOPD is asking for help in the investigation. Data released by the Tax Foundation finds Louisiana leads the nation when it comes to state and local taxes. Here's WWL's Jim Hanso.
And for Louisiana, it's at a rate of 9.98%. Vice President for State Projects Joe Henchman says the rate is so high because what the tax applies to is so narrow.
And if you were able to broaden the base, take out some of those carve-outs and exemptions that have worked their way into the code, you might be able to not only generate some revenue, but also be able to lower the rate on everything else.
There does seem to be a balance. While state and local taxes are high, Louisiana ranks near the top when it comes to paying the lowest property taxes in the country.
The group Operation We Care in St. Tammany Parish has shipped off 300 red, white, and blue king cakes to soldiers overseas so they can celebrate Mardi Gras.
When they get the king cakes, they're excited about it, and they love to share the cake with their friends, and they send us pictures of them eating the cake, and they're just very happy.
That's PR Director Colleen Smith. She says they've been sending troops king cakes now for 14 years. How often have you heard stand up straight, get those shoulders back? Well, apparently good posture has great benefits.
Feeling depressed? Sit up straight. Scientists reporting in the Journal of Behavior Therapy and Experimental Psychiatry say sitting or standing upright can help people ward off mild to moderate depression. Previous studies have found a relationship between posture and mood, This research found that it can make you feel more confident in your thoughts, improve your persistence at an unsolvable task, feel less fearful, more alert, and enthusiastic. Jim Shenedy, CBS News.
WWL News Time, 8:05. Now the business report.
I'm Jennifer Kushinka with WWL First Business News, brought to you by Home Bank. Apple reversed a nearly year-long decline in iPhone sales to report record revenue in its latest quarter. Earnings came in at a better-than-expected $3.36 a share on revenue of $78.4 billion. iPhone shipments were strong at 78.3 million. The much-derided headphone jackless iPhone 7 defied its critics and returned to being Apple's single most important business segment, but iPad shipments were weak. President Trump has called on pharmaceutical executives to cut astronomical drug prices. During a White House meeting with senior pharmaceutical executives, he told the firms to manufacture more of their drugs in the U.S. He also vowed to help the firms by speeding the approval of new medicines and by cutting taxes. Among those attending the meeting, executives of Merck, J&J, Novartis, and Amgen. On Wall Street, futures pointing to a modestly higher open this morning. That's WWL First Business News, brought to you by Home Bank, invested in business, focused on you.
WWL Sports Time. Here's Steve Geller.
Kyle Lowry had 33 points and made the tie-breaking shot with 4.3 seconds left in overtime to lift the Raptors over the Pelicans 108-106. Drew Holiday scored 30 and Anthony Davis had 18 with 17 rebounds for his 30th double-double as New Orleans dropped its second straight contest. Head coach Alvin Gentry says that turnovers and undisciplined play in the second half was their undoing.
We're our own worst enemy is the only way to put it. And we've got to get to the point where I said where we're executing and teams are executing to beat us, you know, not us going through what we go through and then giving points back because we're not doing what we're supposed to.
The Pelicans will look to bounce back tonight in Detroit when they face a Pistons squad that has lost 3 straight. Well, the Big Chief is keeping an eye on LSU this National Signing Day. Here he is with a look at the Tigers' 2017 class.
This National Signing Day update is brought to you by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, helping members achieve success. The LSU class of 2017, the first under head coach Ed Orgeron, Bayou Bengal Land, features 2 quarterbacks. Both of them well in tune on the national level. Already on campus with the Tigers, Loyal Narcisse, the highly touted 6'2", 205-pound quarterback out of St. James there where he was a star for the Wildcats. And, of course, a quarterback that many know across the nation out of Bay St. Louis, 6'3", 180, Miles Brennan. Both come in and help LSU add some depth to the quarterback position. Deke Bellavia, WWL Sports.
Today at 4 on Sports Talk, join Bobby Hebert and Deke Bellavia live from LSU's Bayou Bash. We'll break down National Signing Day, plus don't miss Coach Ed Orgeron live at 4 o'clock. Then QB to QB with Drew Brees at 6:40. After that, it's LSU Hoops as the Tigers host South Carolina. Pre-game coverage is at 7:30 with tip-off coming at 8. Steve Geller, WWL Sports.
All right, thanks, Steve. WWL News Time, 8:08 as we go to Dave Nussbaum with the forecast.
For nice weather out across the area today with partly cloudy skies, a little breezy out there and a high around 75. For tonight, watch out for some dense fog to form across the region, otherwise partly cloudy with lows on the north shore around 53, the south shore around 56. Heading into Thursday, Groundhog Day, we start off with some morning fog, then partly cloudy and mild with a high of 75. And Friday, we start with some morning fog, but then a cold front moves through later in the day with a 20% chance for a few showers, high temperatures in the lower 70s. From the Pinpoint Forecast Center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Dave Nussbaum.
We're up to 59 degrees right now, partly cloudy at Armstrong International. On the North Shore at Slidell, it's 50 degrees. Major traffic headaches. Let's get the latest.
At the WWL Traffic Center, I'm Terrell Robinson. Well, the fire has been put out, it appears, on the Montecarry Spillway traveling to Kenner from La Place, right there out of the curb, and looks like they're letting traffic by on the shoulder, but you've got a good 4-mile delay, folks. Approaching 51 at the Montecarry Spillway coming out of La Place is just really stacked up, and as you might imagine, 51 trying to get to Airline is an alternate net too. Very, very heavy delays, but right now Airline is your choice. If you take Airline at the 310, rejoin the interstate there, you get around that problem spot on the Montecarry. All right, once you make your way into Kenner, things open up pretty well, as you might imagine. A little slower on Metairie Road into the CBD. Causeway, no advisories, problems there. In from Slidell. Windspan in good shape. Looking at the high-rise approach, going through Chef and Tour, then again around North Claiborne.